I think I got the best deal on the Featherweight anyone's ever gotten on a Featherweight. Zipper foot. Whoa. Ooh. What the heck? Jeez. Oh, this is the decal. It came with a few different decals. This is the one I liked better. Yay. And then this flips down. They usually had an S here. This, I wonder if it's a special edition, 100 years. Oh, I did read you can look up the serial number to see exactly the date. Ooh. Alrighty. Oh my gosh, it's so cute and tiny. It's so cute. Oh wait, I don't know. Yeah. Let me look it up. Oh wait. Through here, through here. Looks like the belt has been replaced. It just looks perfect. Yeah. I need a light. Can you shine a light right here? Yeah. Oh my gosh, where is the eye of the needle? There you go. Get that close up. Oh, I have it threaded wrong. It's not supposed to be doing that. Okay. Oh, it reverses. Ah. Oh, this needs to loop like this. It did until you started going. And then which way does this go in? Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, something's not right. Eyes. Okay, and then pull the bobbin up. It's still a little twisted though, is that okay? Which way? Does it go this way or does it go that way? Maybe that's the problem? Well, the hook is on this side. Oh, that's a good question. Let's look. Yeah, that might be why. This way. If it's that simple, that would be awesome. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Come on. Yay! Purrs like a kitten. Wow. Ooh. Good job. Hello there, I have a new addition to my sewing room. Well, I don't know if it'll get to live in my room. My room is pretty tiny, but that's not really what it's for anyway. I am very excited to introduce my new Singer Featherweight to you. You might have seen these before if you've been sewing for any length of time, but it is a teeny tiny little vintage Singer. I'm gonna tell you all about it today, how I got it, why you might want one for yourself, at least why I was wanting one. And also I'm going to do some maintenance on it and sort of show you how to thread it, because threading vintage machines is almost the same for all of them. So we're gonna thread it, wind a bobbin, and just admire it because it's amazing. I'm Nikki, this is Pencut Sew. Welcome to my Singer Featherweight rundown. So let me start with the story of how I acquired this. I have seen one of these one time in an antique store, but it was not in good condition. It was sort of like the end of the day. I was tired. I didn't even get it out and want to see if it worked. And then I regretted it later because a lot of people use these for, well, some people even use them for their regular sewing machine. I think Lori Holt, if you've heard of her, seen her here on YouTube, she has either 7 or 9 of these in all different colors. And this is what she sews on, I think, all of the time. So these are sort of highly desired machines by quilters of all kinds. A lot of people take them to Quilt Group. I know this because my mom's in Quilt Group and she said a lot of people have them. They're extremely lightweight, so they're really portable. They come in their own little box. And I have another vintage sewing machine and it is heavy. I would not want to take that anywhere. And so also my friend who wants to learn to sew, it would be so easy for me to go take this to her house and sew on it while she sews on her machine. And then the other day, my sewing room was out of commission because I was getting my door replaced. I have this outside exterior door in here and it was all rotten. And so I couldn't use my sewing room, but I had to be home all day and I had done all my things and I was bored. So I got my Featherweight out and I made a bunch of fish blocks with it. And it worked so well. I know it'll work even better once I do a little bit of oiling and maintenance on it, but it's such in perfect condition. So I was thrilled when my daughter Layla, you know Layla, she edits my videos. She also works for an estate sale company. She's a very interesting person with lots of interesting skills. And she came home one day from work and said, I posted the new sale photos if you want to look through them. So we were looking through them. I whizzed past what I thought was just a vintage sewing machine, but I remembered seeing that one at the antique store and I remembered it being in this box. I went back to that photo and I was like, I'm pretty sure that is a Singer Featherweight and I'm going to get it. So I got to the sale first thing, and I got this Singer Featherweight for $100. If you have looked these up on the internet, they sell for much more than that. I'll tell you more about my specific one in a minute, but I was just trying to keep myself from freaking out when he said $100 because I was ready to spend like $300 probably. But it's just such a fun little machine to have, so I'm so glad that I scored it and I got home with it and it was perfect. It had all the parts. It even had the bobbin case. So let me get it out and show you what it looks like. It comes in its own self-containing box. So cute. The pedal slides off like this. The cord fits inside. And then here's the little accessory box. This also fits in here. It has all of its original accessories. Very cute. Some of these are pretty crazy. Like, look at this. I think one might be like a binding foot or something. I don't know. I'll have to look up videos on that. Has a zipper foot. And then the machine just pulls right out like this. All the way out. A lot of vintage sewing machines, the cords are attached to their boxes. At least mine is like that, so this is much easier. I'm just going to set it up right here. Okay, here's a better look. The arm folds down. You lift this up to put the bobbin in. And the cord, thankfully, is pretty darn long. Actually longer than my regular sewing machine cord that I get annoyed with being so short. And the pedal is interesting. It has a button instead of like a, you know, a pedal. Let me unthread her so I can show you how I'm going to maintenance her. Okay, before I do that though, I want to tell you about this amazing shop called the Featherweight Shop.com. Right here, the Featherweight Shop. You can order everything you need for your featherweight. If you need new parts, I needed a light bulb, mine didn't have one. And mine only came with one bobbin, so I ordered more bobbins. And I ordered the motor and gear lubricant. You can also order sewing machine oil, but I already have a really nice sewing machine oil, so I'm gonna use that. And they sent me a light bulb. You can also shop for actual featherweights. They don't have any available, at least when I looked yesterday, but you can buy them. You can also find a featherweight on like eBay and Etsy, or just keep your eyes open. A lot of times people don't know what they have, and so they'll just call it a vintage sewing machine. They don't realize that it's one of these. So look at all the vintage sewing machines on your resale pages and stuff like that on Facebook or whatever. Or go to estate sales like me and Layla. Okay, so I ordered all of this from the Featherweight shop, and here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so before we learn to thread it and everything, I'm going to oil it and lubricate the gears because this has likely been sitting in these people's basement for a very long time. So even though it hummed along perfectly the other day, I still knew that I really, really need to oil it before I sew anymore. So there's actually a lot of oiling points on here, and so you can watch the video on the Featherweight shop. There's plenty of tutorial videos for how to do this properly. And it was surprising to me how many spots need oiled. I think modern machines probably have a lot more plastic gears than these old ones do. So I might refer back to that again, and I will link you to the video on oiling the machine or just to the Featherweight shop. So here I go. I'm probably gonna have to watch the video another time, but I'm not going to point out to you every spot because you can watch that on the Featherweight shop. Okay, look. The Featherweight shop has a printout that now I can use to oil this. So I almost missed a spot up here. So this is really helpful. It shows you oil, gear lubricant, and how often. More often than you might think. This spot, this one, this one. I think I got them all. Yeesh, that's a lot of spots. Some of these though, it says to oil every 6 months, and some it says every 8 hours of sewing. If you're not accustomed to oiling your regular sewing machine, this is your sign to oil it. You might not think it needs it, but it does. My dad, a mechanic, says if it has moving parts, you gotta oil it. Also, my dad looked at this because there was like crumbs. I don't know if you could see me wiping those off, but That's just the cable casing. The cables inside are just fine. So I just brushed away the crumbs and it's not really like shedding anymore. So I'm not going to worry about that. Maybe I'll get off what I can. Okay, now I have this lubricant So Retro grease for vintage and antique sewing machines. This came with instructions, which is very helpful. I'm going to follow the directions. Oh, that's interesting. It says not to wipe with a paper towel or anything because I don't want fibers to get stuck in the grease. Okay. Okay, I have her all put back together, and now you want to turn the hand wheel a bunch of times so that the grease that you put on one gear gets into the other gears. Okay. Wow, I can already tell it's smoother. So good. I think I forgot though to oil the bobbin case. Let me do that really quick. All right, after you oil any sewing machine, you want to sew on some scrap fabric before you start on anything else because that oil could get on your work. So also on the Featherweight shop, there's a little bit of history about the sewing machine, or about the Singer Featherweight, but I also have remembered a podcast I listened to a long time ago by Stuff You Missed in History Class. It's a great podcast in general, but several years ago they had one about the sewing machine and the Mr. Singer himself, and it was like a really interesting episode because he was not exactly a stand-up guy, and there was like rivalry. If I remember, it's like about patents and stuff, and it's really a fascinating story. So I found that episode again. I'm gonna give it a re-listen, and I'm gonna link it for you so you can listen to it. So, but the Singer Featherweight, they started making these in 1933, and they continued making them until 1961. I wrote it down, let me check. 61, so that was it. My particular machine has an emblem on the front that is a century of sewing service. A century of sewing service. It says 1851 through 1951. And my machines, there's always going to be a serial number on the bottom. My machine was made in 1952. So this particular machine goes, its value is anywhere from like $500 to $1,500 depending on its condition and stuff like that, and if it has its accessories and its box and its pedal and it works and everything. So mine's in pretty good shape. I'm feeling like I got a pretty darn good deal on this. I did not realize they sell for about $1,000 anywhere you look, unless you get a one that's not really in the greatest of shape. But that's why it's probably best to score them at estate sales. The fact that I've seen 2 in the last few years tells you that they are out there. And this particular series, this Centennial series, they made 200,000 of this series. So, and that's just like a short few years. But some other cool history facts. During the war between 1942 and 1944, no featherweights were made because Singer was one of those manufacturers that was made by the government to cease manufacturing what they normally did, and they were told to convert parts of their factory into making parts for war. So that's kind of an interesting historical point too. Later on in the 60s, or in the 50s, I think, yeah, because they stopped in 61, they started making a few different colors. So some of them are like a celery green. It sort of looks more like off, and then there's an off-white one. The celery green one looks like barely green. So you can find a few different colored ones, but if you find any crazy colors, that means that somebody has repainted and refurbished and repainted it. Some of those jobs might be well done, some of them might not be. So if you come across one like that, especially if you're doing it online, make sure the photos are telling the real story of what it looks like, because I'm sure you can't just paint one of these with regular spray paint. I bet it's a pretty specific car painting process. So if you want a colored one, I would beware of that and just make sure, because they can look really cool. The ones that Lori Holt has in her collection are all different colors. It's pretty fun. I will link you to her channel. Here's my little Centennial emblem. I don't know if it'll be able to focus on that. There we go. So some of these have a big S on them, the older ones. There was a few made for the Texas World's Fair, I think, to celebrate their independence from Mexico. And then there was a San Francisco emblem made. I think it honors the 2 bridges or something like that. So you can find some pretty rare machines. Mine is not all that rare, but it is one of those that were made during this 2-year period, 1951 to 53, I think, or something like that. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good find. Pretty fun. Now I'm going to put in the light bulb and then we will wind a bobbin. Okay, I have it unplugged in order to do this, obviously. I just ordered this light bulb from the the Featherweight shop, but you can also, I bought these on Amazon before. These are the same that my serger uses, so they're not special. Should be able to just find where the pins are and pop it into place. Okay, let's see if she works. Looky there! Look at this cute little on-off switch. Oh my gosh, so cute. When I was sewing the other day, I didn't have a light, so I was using this Caterpillar light. Caterpillar sent this to me, and you're supposed to Velcro it onto your machine, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to devise some kind of a strap because it really does help you to see. You can put this on any machine. Plus, if I design a strap, then I'll be able to move it from machine to machine. But very cool little device. And when I was making those fish blocks on this the other day, this came in really handy, and it has more than one brightness level. You can actually get a discount on this if you go to caterpillar.com and you put in the code PinCutSew. You can get a discount on anything you see on their website. Moving on, like I said, most vintage sewing machines wind bobbins the exact same way. My machine only came with 1 bobbin, and I wound it onto here like this. Oops, I just remembered I didn't oil this part like I was supposed to, because my bobbin winding arm was a little stiff the other day, so I knew that probably needed oiled, and I was right, it did. Okay, so this lever here, if you put it all the way up, the machine sews in reverse, and this machine only sews straight lines. So for winding a bobbin though, you want to have good thread. If you ever have old thread given to you, toss it because it's too brittle to work. The wooden spools are cool, and even like this had a spool from like the 60s on it. And I threw it away because thread becomes brittle. You can use a lot of old sewing notions, but thread is not one of them. I'm going to wind this color bobbin just for grins. So I'm going to put this up here. You put the thread here, and then you bring it down here through this, in between these. I don't know what they're called. You'll have to look on the diagram. The thingy, put it down this thingy and through this loop, and then you put the bobbin on this pin, and then you can put it through the hole and tie it on, but I've always just wound several inches of it around from front to back, and then this pushes down like this. Mine is pretty stiff. And then you can see over here that the wheel, the belt on the wheel is going to move this into spinning. It's very cool. I think mechanical things are just so neat. Okay, so then when you push your foot pedal, oops, first you have to unscrew this part. You have to turn, there's a metal wheel inside of here. You turn them in opposite directions. Turn this one towards you and this one away, and that releases the needle. So now when you wind your bobbin, your needle will not move. Sometimes I put a finger here to prevent it from flying off on top of the spool of thread. Okay, that's probably enough. Old bobbins hold a lot of thread. Okay, now let me show you how to put your freshly wound bobbin into the bobbin case. So if you have an old-fashioned machine, you might have a metal bobbin case like this, not a drop-in one, and it has this lever on the back. So I always open this lever because this will keep your spool from falling out while you work with it. Pull this lever like this, and then you're going to put your bobbin in with the thread going clockwise. Might have to kind of let go of the lever just to get it to click in there. And then you pull the thread clockwise until it catches on this little lever right here. Then you want to tug it until it fits between these slits. Then, still holding it by the lever, you're going to insert it onto the pin and then let go of the lever and it clicks in place. It shouldn't fall out when you touch it like this. Okay, now let's thread the machine. Going to put your thread with the tail coming off the back onto the machine like this. So it goes in this hook first, then it goes between the discs, and then the discs have like a hook right here. You want to hold this thread taut and pull this one until it clicks. So now you should have some tension in your thread. If you don't, then you need to pull the hook over again. Then you put in this hook, then you go through this loop from right to left, and then there's a hook back here, and then there's a hook back here, and then a hook here, and your Featherweight's needle goes into the machine with the flat side facing the left, and then you thread the needle from right to left. No automatic needle threader. And then of course your thread goes under the foot. So then, in order to get your bobbin up, turn your hand wheel towards you, hold your top thread, turn your hand wheel towards you one time, and until it brings up the bobbin loop, and then pull the bobbin loop out. So now when you start to sew, with older machines, you always should hold your thread tails so that they do not get sucked back into the machine and cause thread nests for just a few stitches. So there's my straight stitch, and then the Featherweight goes backwards when you lift this lever and back to a straight stitch here. Oops. So for quilt stitches, I'm going to, yeah, that looks perfect. So I think I have it right here on the 12. And that seems to be the perfect stitch lengths. I'm not actually sure what these numbers mean. I'll have to find out. They're not the same as like our stitch lengths that we use now. So when you take fabric out, this goes for any older machine too, sometimes it will like catch. That just means the bobbin and the top thread are looped at an awkward place to pull out. So if you just sort of wiggle this hand wheel a little bit, it will release and you'll be able to pull it out. Make sure your thread tails are long enough to start the next seam. All right, now you're ready to sew. Okay, I'm about to sew a fish block on my new Featherweight, but I would love to hear your experiences with either vintage sewing machines or the Featherweight specifically. Tell me if this has inspired you to look for one. Keep your eyes open. There's more than you might think, so it won't be that hard to find one. And the reason I love this is because it's so portable. I have another vintage sewing machine. It's not at all portable. If you have one, you know they are extremely heavy. This is not like that, so it's so much fun. And because it only has the straight stitch plate, that just means the flat plate with one hole instead of like a larger hole for a zigzag and stuff. It's so much fun to quilt on because it doesn't like cause thread nests and like push your fabric into the hole or anything like that. And it's inspired me because my Janome, my nice machine, came with a straight stitch plate that I've never used. I feel ashamed of that now because I didn't know that's what it did. So I'm gonna give that a try too. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this Singer Featherweight, and if you have one, if you want one, just let's talk about it. It's fun. I'll see y'all later. Bye.